Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to this video. It is 5 p.m. UK time and the date today is Wednesday the 26th of August. Shalom to you. I hope you are okay midweek. We're almost there to the end of the week and I am going to cover something very interesting today. 9/27, the 27th of September next month is Yom Kippur, and I believe that this could potentially be the year of Jubilee. And I know you've probably heard that a lot before, but I'm going to show you why I think that with calculations and the reasons behind my saying this. And that would be 5781, which is the Hebrew year coming up, and 2020 combined, or going from 5780 to 5781, and Yom Kippur is on the 10th of the month of Tishrei. Okay, so Isaiah 46:10 says, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So declaring the end from the beginning. And the Jubilee is given to us in Leviticus 25:9. God says, then shalt thou cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month, that is Yom Kippur. In the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land, and ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man to his family. So Christ's birth on September the 11th, 3 BC, and this is what underpins my calculations. So this is September the 11th in the year 3 BC. If you want to look at this in stellarium, you have to look at the year 2 BC, because stellarium uses year 0. So remember that. It's debatable whether that is correct or not. Most people say that year 0 should not be used, and it should go from year 1 BC to year 1 AD. But anyways, if you want to look at this in stellarium, you have to look in 2 BC. So September the 11th in minus 3 BC, here we see Jupiter over the king star Regulus. This is the planet Tzedek, or righteousness, over the king star, which is Regulus, or regal, that is the king star. So he was the king of righteousness that came. Much like Melchizedek, he was the king of righteousness, the king of Salem, the king of peace. And this was the new moon in 3 BC. So the moon can be seen over here. This is the new moon, which I will zoom in. And that is how we know that this is Rosh HaShanah in the year 3 BC, because there's the new moon. And also Venus is at the head of Virgo, and she's clothed with the sun. And it's a perfect picture, and this is what the Magi would have seen. So the book of Matthew opens up with the account of the Magi. The very first book of the New Testament opens up with the account of the Magi after the genealogy of Jesus Christ. So this is wisdom which the Magi were obviously very careful to follow. That was the wisdom that was passed down from Daniel to the courts of the astrologers in Nebuchadnezzar's throne, where he saved them, and obviously he shared this knowledge with them, and they came to find the baby Jesus. So here we see in September of 3 BC this perfect picture on Rosh Hashanah, or the head of the year. Also, you can see Saturn is right in between the horns of Taurus when this occurs. And if we go to Capricorn, we can see that Mars is directly in the center of Capricorn. So this is a perfect picture of the birth of Christ. If we go to 2 BC, which is a year after this, you can see that Venus is kind of down here in the middle of nowhere. Jupiter is between Venus and Leo. Mars has come around, and it's not as as interesting as September the 11th in 3 BC. And then if we go to the year before, you can see the aligning of the stars or the planets with the constellations as their background is not as interesting. Also, don't forget that 3 years before September the 11th in the year 3 BC, we saw the great major conjunction which occurred in Pisces. So this is the great major conjunction. This is when Jupiter conjuncts with Saturn once every 20 years. This is a very well-known conjunction because they had 3 conjunctions. So it was a triple conjunction. So here you can see 1, 2, 3. So it was a triple conjunction 3 years before the Messiah was born, and that was in 7 BC. So the reason why I'm showing you this, guys, is because we can be pretty confident that September the 11th, 3 BC, is when Jesus Christ was born because of what the faithful witness in the sky, that is the constellations with the position of the planets, tell us. So that is why I'm using this date to calculate this Jubilee from September the 11th, 3 BC, or in actual fact, I'm going to calculate it from Yom Kippur, which will be September the 21st, 3 BC. So Yom Kippur of this year would have been September the 21st. That's 10 days after September the 11th. This would have been the 10th of Tishrei in 3 BC, and this would have been 2 days after Jesus was circumcised. So he would have been born on September the 11th, which is Rosh HASHANAH, which is the birth of the new moon. So that's a good time for that to happen, obviously, when it's a new moon and a new world, really. And then 8 days after Rosh Hashanah is when Jesus would have been circumcised, and 10 days afterwards is Yom Kippur. And remember that that's when they saw him in the temple, was after he had got circumcised. So when Mary had waited out her time of purification from Rosh Hashanah, that would have been the 14th of Tishrei, which means that when she took him to the temple, that would have been Feast of Tabernacles. Right, so let's calculate this out. Christ's birth on September the 11th, 3 BC. I'm going to be using Yom Kippur of 3 BC, which is September the 21st. So that would have been the 10th of Tishrei in the year 3 BC, to Yom Kippur of this year, which is the 27th of September 2020. If we calculate the duration of days, we come out with 738,530 days. Then what we need to do is figure out, using biblical years, the length of time that is. So we say 738,530 days divided by 360-day years, and we come out with 2051.472. And I've used 3 floating points there, 0.472, so we can be fairly accurate with this. And that is the equivalent of 2022 of our 365-day years, of course. So we take 2051.472 years, and we have to calculate the leap time, or the number of leap days in that period of time, so we can be a bit more accurate with it. And we divide that by 4. But the problem with that is that in the year 46 BC, the astronomers suggested to Julius Caesar to add a quarter day onto each year, which meant a full day for every 4 years. But the problem was that was an overcorrection of 45 minutes per leap year, which we need to consider further in the calculation, which I'll do. So if we consider the number of leap years by dividing the total number of years by 4, we come out with 513 days. Then we take the 513 days and we divide that by 360 days to see how much leap time needs to be deducted from the 2051 year total. Or what we're actually doing is we're squashing this leap time into that total so that we can consider the amount of time that was part of the years and not actually separate from the year itself. So I hope I'm making sense. We have to squash leap time into the previous years so that we can consider this accurately. So if we say 2051.472 total years minus the 1.425 leap years time, we come out with 2050.047. So we're getting there. We're getting more accurate. We take that 0.047 and we times that by 360, and we see we've got a 16-day discrepancy here. And recall the 45 minutes per leap year that still has to be calculated. So we take 513 days times 45 minutes, which is 23,040 minutes, and that comes out to 16 days. So what does this mean? This means that with leap years calculated, we have exactly 2050 360-day years from the birth date of Christ. So, as I mentioned, it's not only plausible, but it's very probable that Jesus Christ was born in the year of Jubilee. These calculations don't calculate out from any other time of Christ's ministry or of his crucifixion, but they do calculate out exactly from the birth of Christ. So what does this mean? This means that this is the 41st Jubilee since the birth of Christ. The 41st Jubilee since the birth of Christ. And it's the first Jubilee of the second millennium using 360-day years. So just consider that for a second. 1 day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. And we, calculating using 360-day years, have had 2,000 years. And this, therefore, would be the first Jubilee after those 2,000 years. So, my friends, I have very good reason to believe that this very year, 2020, is the Jubilee, and we are 2050 years. This is 2050 years away from the birth of Christ.